ulindlela bema mkopozi yeunyana wami telele uyahlala namhlanje ulindlela wena manyauza subano.
Society of 2016 state that equality has been an issue for many years and there have been many ideas and problems surrounding it. Even after all these years, women are still not being treated the same as men, regardless of their education and professionalism. This issue can be explained through social interaction theory and feminist theory. Greetings to you all. My name is Nompumelelo Mvuyane and I'm here with my group. Starting from the right side, we have
Monji Ngubane.
I am London Zembu.
Not Kaniza.
And mine.
Innocent Labis.
Okay. Our focus is going to be on gender and its oppression and carry on with the views of functional theory, taking into account its critics and views of conflict theory relating to gender. Firstly, Ayanda Mangli is going to take us to what is gender.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mbuyane. There is always a confusion between sex and gender. In sociology, these terms are newly fairly standardized to refer to different content areas. Sex refers to the biological characteristics differentiating males and females. This definition emphasizes males and females different in chromosomes, anatomy, hormones, reproductive system, and other psychological components. On the other hand, gender refers to those social, cultural, and psychological traits linked to males and females through particular social contexts. Sex is given status because a person is born with it, while gender is an achieved status because it must be learned. Therefore, gender is a social classification based on one's identity, presentation of self-behavior, and interactions with others. Sociologists view gender as a learned behavior and culturally produced identity. As such, it is a social category. Thank you very much.
Wow, those were very strong points. Now, looking forward to the views of functional relating to those genders, we are going to talk to Monji Ngubane. Take us further.
Okay, greetings once again. Today I'll be talking on how functionalism view gender. Because this is a perspective of gender that was forcefully articulated in the 1950s and the 1960s and developed by the stereotype theory of the Helker family. This theory suggests that gender inequality exists in a way to create class division of labor. Like, for example, in the past 1950s and 1960s, women were not allowed to work in factories and industries. So that means that their respective jobs had to be divided, had to be different than men's. They had to stay at home, look after children, cook and do chores. Moving on, secondly, functionalism view of gender is also a system there's clearly which particular segments are clearly responsible for a certain respective labor and the division of works to maximize resources and efficiency. For an example, let's go to the charts. When we're looking at these charts, we can see that in the first, it is a woman that works in the kitchen. Now, whereas a man is the person that works in the mines and industries. Look over here. This man over here has so much pride in him and his work that he is a worker. He is the provider of the family. While on the other hand, look at the woman. The woman is so frustrated in such a way that she has to wash the dishes, iron, clean, and make chores. Also prepare dinner for the man that he is the provider. Only the man, he is the provider. Why can't this change in our times? That a woman to take a role of a man and a man take a role of a woman. This is the 21st century as I am talking. As we're moving on like functionalist view, because functionalism is based on how a society works. Each and every member of society has to hold a role in order to make the society run smoothly. Okay, let's take an example. This is an example whereby, let's say, both male and female are working, and they're working the same job, they're earning the same salary. Who's going to take care of their children at home? Who's going to make chores? Who's going to get time to feed and educate their family, may help them help grow the young ones? Okay, moving on. A structural functionalist view of gender inequality applies the division of labor, as I have said. A structural functionalist view of gender inequality applies the division of labor to view predefined gender roles as complementary. Women take care of the home while the man provides for the family, as I've said before. Thus, gender, like other social instruction, it contributes to the stability of society as a whole. I'm going to pass this to my other fellow group member.
Okay, now we are taking this opportunity to Notola Kenga to take us to the critics.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Mboyani. To credit functionalism offers a reasonable and a sound explanation for the origin of gender roles and the functional utility of assigning tasks on basis of gender in the subsistent economic class. In the origin of large families and functional, the children are needed for agricultural work. 2. Contemporary functionalists also acknowledge the strain that occurs when there is a too sharp of division between the public and the private spheres. For an example, the workplace and the families, particularly for women. Number 3, functionalism tends to support a white middle class family model, emphasizing the economic activities of the male head of the household and the domestic activities of his female subordinated class. Thank you.
Oh wow. Okay. Now we're looking forward to hearing about conflict theory with London 10.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Mbiano. Okay, so conflict theory suggests that men as a dominant group subordinate women in order to maintain power and privilege in the society. So conflict theory argues that gender is better understood as men attempting to maintain power and privilege to detriment women. In most cultures, men have historically held the most of the world resources, and women in other cultures cannot hold property, making them entirely dependent on men. Okay, let me take you to our church. Okay, these are the views of conflict theory. Here we can see that a man is dominant and the woman is subordinate. So every time a man has power, has privilege than a woman. When we look at the working characters, in the workplace, men hold the most power while females are subordinates. So men are the owners and they follow to the men. Here we can see that here is a man. He holds the most power, and all the women behind him support him in whatever he's doing. And this last picture here, we can see that there are 2 or more women fighting over a man, but a man has power than women, which implies that men have most power than women. Thank you. So I'll give this opportunity to my other fellow group member.
everyone. I'm here to talk about the conflict theory, on the views of conflict theory. So conflict theory has been criticized for its pre-assumptions that everything in the society benefits the working class, the ruling class. And only the working class is portrayed as a group that is not aware that they are being oppressed. It states that the ruling class sets the rules and the norms and the values that only benefit them, while the working class does not rebel against them, which I think is not correct actually, because we've seen it in many societies that people like rebel against the oppression. We've seen some protest in some areas, so I think that is wrong. So let's move on to another conflict. Another critique is that the theory does not explain how the individual is affected, and critics object to determine the nature of the model. Okay, let's move on again to another critique. Conflict theory has been criticized for its overemphasis on the economic basis of the inequality and its assumption that there is inevitable competition between family members. It tends to dismiss the consensus that among wives and husbands regarding task allocation, women are denied opportunity to expand instrumental roles, offering economic with men outside the home. Women are denied the opportunity for expanding expressive and nurturing roles outside their homes. Another thing that conflict theory tells us is that there is always a battle between good and evil, men and women, and that compromise will eventually be found, but in the end another battle will continue, another conflict will occur again. So that is actually not an ideal situation, because it's actually telling us that there is always be this inequality, so which means that it's something that cannot be solved. So I don't think it's a good idea to put it on the society that we have a problem that we can never solve. Thank you.
Following scene, we are taken to how a woman is being oppressed by a man in the house.
Woman, make it faster, man. I'm hungry, man. You busy slowing down, cleaning. When am I gonna eat?
Baba, now I'm doing everything here. I'm tired. I've ironed your clothes. Now what am I supposed to do?
Hey, I'm working for you, providing this food for the family. Hey, man.
Okay.
You please work, man.
Okay. I'll get it ready right now. I'll get it ready. Yo. Hey,
Look
women
at
have
this
to
floor.
do everything.
This floor is not so messy. You didn't finish cleaning.
Help me out, then. Help me out.
I am a man. I'm a provider of this family. I don't have to carry these things for a woman. You cook there. I'm hungry now. Please.
Okay. See, in our days, women have to do everything. Take care of the kids, cook for their men, even clean the house. No, it's wrong.
Important to accept each other's differences. In this scene, we are going to see a guy discriminating a gay guy just because he thinks he is just not good for his presence. Here is in the kitchen. The guy has come to borrow the pot to the guy, but the guy has taken him to the other side of how people who are gay are being treated nowadays. Okay.
Hello.
Hey. Who the hell are you? What are you? Oh, Jesus Christ. My tradition
Come on, I am a human being.
Oh.
And I am a girl.
Again, you look like a boy. What kind and a girl. No. What you want from me? Yo, Jesus Christ.
You don't understand. Nowadays, don't you know anything about gays? I am a boy. The boy is for a boy. It's not mine. I am a girl.
Hey.
Can you please borrow me your phone?
Hey, boy. Hey. My pot is gonna be gay now. No. You, a gay. It's clean though, but no, you're a gay. I don't talk to gay people. Go away.